Hello everyone, the Army of Otters here, and welcome back to the Unexplored Capital Wasteland. Today we're going to be checking out Shacktown, which is also known as the Wasteland Gypsy Village in the Fallout 3 official game guide. But in the code of the game, it is referred to as Shacktown. So for the purpose of this video, I'm going to call it Shacktown. Now, I was really surprised to find this unmarked location just north of Jalbert Brothers Waste Disposal, which was the location we visited in the last video. This location is pretty darn cool, but it features kind of a tragic story told purely through the environment and its residents. So let's check out Shacktown. And here on the minimap, you can see the location just north of the Jalbert Brothers and Fort Bannister, just west of Vault 106 and Big Town. So as you approach the town, you're going to find a lot of hostile ghouls inside of the town, and there's also a chance that creatures can wander into the town because of the lack of walls. Now, these Wastelanders are pretty darn easy to kill, as you can see here. However, later in the video, as you will see, I got attacked by a Yao Guai who just wandered on by. Now, I was reading on the wiki that it's very common to have other creatures attack you or the Wastelanders in this location because there's no form of protection. Now, as we make our way through, we will notice that all of these Wastelanders are ghouls, and we have no choice but to fight them. However, they don't seem to be feral because they're not trying to claw out your eyes. They're actually smart enough to use guns and grenades and other weapons. Here's the Yao Guai I mentioned earlier, and I used this kids play UFO in order to kill the Yao Guai, kind of just doing circles around the UFO until I could get his health down and kill him. Now, off in the meantime, Rex was busy taking out many of the Wastelanders, and this was the last Wastelander up on this hill. Pretty easy to kill, as you can see. Now, inside of Shacktown, there are 3 actual buildings you can enter and loot, along with various smaller shacks that you can loot and find stuff like ammunition crates and other random loot. Now, first I wanted to check out these buses on the eastern part of Shacktown, and there are some things of interest, not as far as loot. There's really not a whole lot inside of them, but there is a pre-war book and a camera that cannot be picked up or interacted with. Normally we can interact with such objects, but for whatever reason here, we cannot pick them up, we cannot move them. It is literally impossible. So I just thought it was worth noting because it's quite strange. I don't know why they are like that. Heading over to the northernmost shack, we will find a picnic table with 2 ammunition crates underneath. They can be sometimes a bit difficult to access just because of the picnic table. Then inside the northernmost shack, we will find a lone Wastelander who will be killed by me and dog meat. Then there's a small kitchen and living area, but not much inside of there. There's also a dresser with nothing inside of it. The main thing is by the door, there is a copy of Tales of a Junktown Jerky Vendor, along with a stealth boy on the table, so a pretty darn good find. Now, also I just thought this playground was interesting. It kind of tells me that maybe children once lived inside of this town, and that the residents built this playground for their kids. However, obviously, it has fallen into complete disarray, and there are no more children here. Then, heading over to the southeasternmost shack, we can find a very haunting scene inside. There lay about 6 or so skeletons on the floor. They all awoke as soon as I entered the room, and there's something truly terrible happening inside of here. We can see that whoever had this room was using those tables as some kind of barrier. We can find a lot of ammunition, a mini nuke, which is pretty darn good, a copy of Duck and Cover, and of course a laser rifle. So something very terrible happened in there. Perhaps they were trying to keep out some very bad people. Then, at the southwesternmost shack, we will find a fridge that has a copy of Tumblers Today inside of it. And also worth mentioning that these shacks, like the Dunwich building, have the wrong cardinal directions inside, meaning we entered this building facing the southwest. However, once we are inside, we're facing the southeast. This is probably just a design overlook, but, it's worth mentioning because it is a little bit scary and adds to the haunting nature of this place. And in this bathtub, we can find a skeleton with a toaster in the bathtub, signifying that this person killed themselves. As you could see earlier, I got some ammunition from an ammunition crate. There's also a combat shotgun and some shotgun shells inside. But that makes up those 3 buildings, all 3 of which, like I said, have the wrong cardinal directions inside against the outside. And at the top of this hill, we just have one of the various shacks that are around this place with some ammunition crates. Definitely look out for these shacks as they do contain random loot, as you can see me going through here. There's also a shack kind of at the top of this mountain that is next to the Jalbert Brothers disposal site. However, we cannot access it, so we're just kind of left to guess what happened inside. And there we have it, Shacktown. A very haunting area with all of these ghouls. It really makes me wonder what actually transpired here. We have an abandoned playground, a lot of abandoned shacks, and a very hostile citizenry. Personally, I think these people settled here relatively recently, and perhaps due to the radiation in the area, specifically at the Jalbert Brothers waste disposal, that the people here started turning into ghouls. It would explain why there's all of those dead bodies in that one shack that appear to be trying to defend the entrance. But who knows what happened here? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments section below. So, who knows what transpired here, but I do think this is a very cool location, which I had no recollection of. Perhaps I've actually never visited this location before. It is unmarked, and it is a bit easy to miss, being in the northwestern part of the map. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Unexplored Capital Wasteland. If you have any recommendations for a future video, please post them in the comments section below. And, as always, until next time.